Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Today we are here at MasterTech Expo out in sunny Mesa, Arizona, and it is so sunny. Behind me, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brian Mitchell has his Volt. We've been waiting to check this car out. We're finally going to do it today. I'm so excited to share this car with you. It's pretty amazing, but don't let me sway your vote. Let's head over to the booth and have Brian tell us all about his masterpiece and what he's created with the help of a bunch of his friends. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Are you ready to tell the world about the Volt?
So, yeah.
All right, let's dig deep into it.
So we have a 2012 Chevy Volt. Anybody has seen a build picture or the talk or something about this car. Where my other cars, by the time we filmed them, were already years, after I build them. This one's a fresh build.
I mean, we waited as long as we could. I gave you like 5-6 months.
5 years.
Well, yeah, that.
Many years. We have a very extensively modified Chevy Volt. When I started building this, I was looking at it going, when cars are going to be self-driving, which is not going to be that far into the future. Okay, Waymo, we're in Arizona here at MasterTech Expo. Waymo's bringing people in from other places. They still have steering wheels in them, but that's just a temporary thing. It's for, regulations, things like that. This car has got no steering wheel and no brake pedals and no technical dash at all, because that's what a car that needs a computer to drive is going to have. I didn't want to go out and buy a brand new car or build it from scratch. I had the Chevy Volt laying around, which was a parts car for another car. It was smashed in the front, and we decided we would start building this project, and if we didn't like it and it didn't turn out the way we wanted to, we could just crush it.
Grim, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I'm never 100% sure how a project's going to turn out of this magnitude. I've seen lots of big projects that didn't work well. I had a lot of faith in myself, so I put some money into it.
You had a lot of faith. Yeah. Yeah. Overconfidence? No, not Brian.
The Chevy Volt had a big center battery in it, so there was a big T-shaped battery holder in the middle of the car. And we didn't want that. We wanted a center seat car so we could get the best position for sound. So we cut everything out from the VIN number down. Specifically left the VIN number in case it needed to go out of country. It has to have a VIN number for that. And that saves some problems of, import-export. And then we built a new lattice work of 1x2 steel beams. Then we sheathed that with 20 gauge steel on the bottom. We put Dynamat and Dynafoam in that open areas from where lattice work goes. We put a 20 gauge piece of steel on top of that and then Dynamated that. So we started out with a bottom platform, sort of like a pallet, completely flat, similar to a Tesla. That was my thinking there. We also dropped the floor down 8 inches at that point.
Why did you drop the floor down so low?
I wanted a car that was roomier. So if we're looking at an SUV, which most of the cars are going to a crossover type thing, it's bigger than what the Chevy Volt was. So I wanted to approximate that kind of space. Every panel in the car has been touched or refabricated from scratch, including the doors. We wanted to make sure that we had a nice clean door without many obstructions. When people get in there, I want them concentrating on the stereo and not on anything else.
How pretty the doors are?
Yeah, and the doors are very pretty still, and they have some lighting, which is consistent with newer cars. But we didn't have door handles. We did door pops, things like that. This car had a generator in the front. We took that out, and I put 215s underneath the hood. That was where the plan started, because up front base is where it's at.
Oh yeah. So let's put 215s.
Right, 215s, because I never do anything, sideways. I always go over the top.
Nothing simple.
Yeah, nothing simple. So we moved the firewall out from where it was 18 inches, and then we made a nice baffle that the box can attach to, so there's no obstructions for the woofer. So it's not a port through, it's actually a manifold that bolts the box. And it is a 27-layer stack fab box with mirrors on the bottom, some lighting in there to show off the woofers, and it's all in a natural MDF wood color. Everything else around is black, so that color stands out significantly.
It pops.
And then we had metal rods, the same diameter as the pin for an RCA, and we used a panel mount RCA mount into the box, and that pin for the speaker wires that we're using for speaker wires goes into that, and then I can use an RCA to plug into the other side, so I have a nice connection to the subwoofer. That gives a nice clean look for wiring inside of the box. And then the outside of the box is painted black. There's a lot of work that went into that. I actually had to have Brad Ott come over, who's the boss at Arc Audio, and work his magic, because I worked my magic and it wasn't very magical. It's a piano black finish. All the surrounding areas have been bodywork, and so it just flows together. Since I had all of this beautiful work, I said, how am I going to see this if people are just walking by? So I cut a hole in the hood. big huge hole in the hood, and I made a nice transition from the hood. There's plexiglass there, so you can look into the box with the hood shut.
But of course, right? I mean,
yeah.
you have to have.
You have to have some eye candy to bring people over so you can talk to them. Conversation piece, especially when you're at shows that aren't necessarily car audio centric. So we moved into the inside of the car. We have a traditional three-way like I do in all my cars. So we use an RS1, an RS4, and an RS6. But all of the mounts are 1/4 inch steel. They're drilled and tapped, so there's no inserts. Everything is threaded into steel. For the 6.5, it's actually a 1/4 inch plate that makes the enclosure for the 6.5 in the A-pillar. In the center between the speakers is the 49-inch curved Samsung gaming monitor. That seems really excessive to put a 49-inch curved screen in a car.
Not for you.
No, but also not for OEM manufacturers, because the new Cadillac Escalade has a 52-inch screen factory. It's only 8 inches tall, but it is 52 inches wide. Everything in the car I wanted to be maybe exaggerated, but still something similar to what they're doing in OEM vehicles. Brains of the system is a Mac Mini M4. The Mac Mini gives us output choices for audio and video, also for controlling some of the motorization. That's a center point just underneath the TV. Also underneath there, where the mount is for the Mac Mini, is a V. The woofers are run stereo. There's their individual chambers, and the V goes all the way back to the woofer box, and that helps load the woofer in the front of the car, which is always a challenge. Funnels it out to the left and the right. That helps in staging. There's not a lot of information, but some of these new songs that are digitally recorded do have some stereo subwoofer information. The side panels are also, like I said, molded. That whole shape there is a horn. Push the sub bass out. Then we go to the middle. We did a PS8 Pro, which is my go-to, and it is on a rack that folds down, and then you can get to all the fuse blocks, because this still is a car. It needs to have lights and turn signals and window roll-ups and things like that, which are all integrated in the computer. And then above that, we have one of the biggest fuse blocks for the amount of fuses that Dean has ever seen. And then behind that, we have the amplification. Some people seen some of my older cars. Original Volt that I had copper amplifiers in it. We did copper amplifiers again. This time we did 4. It goes away from my usual trifecta of a subwoofer amp and a left and a right amp. We did a left 4-channel amp, a right 4-channel amp, and then we did an amplifier each to each 15. Have an ungodly amount of power. We also did batteries underneath the amp rack, motorized amp rack that motorizes up so we can get to the battery compartment. We used Lucas batteries. We did custom distribution rails. Also underneath the amp rack, we did a 42-pound piece of aluminum for the amp rack. Underneath the amplifiers, we have white heat transfer material, so it transfers the heat from the bottom of the amplifiers, because SEs cool from the bottom of the amplifiers, and that transfers into that 42-pound piece of aluminum here. We also did a groove in it so we can do water cooling on that aluminum piece. There's 400 screws to hold the plexiglass so you can see all that, because it would be kind of a shame to not be able to see all that work. On the amplifiers themselves, I had a friend come out from Florida that did some wiring here. He's known for doing some clean wire. Made these nice little brackets that hold the wire, because we were having a problem of how we were going to run the wires, because I had a visual thought in mind. Together we came up with this idea, and then he worked his magic to make everything lined up perfectly. As normal with anything that I do, all the people that helped me were huge in that. I have a very good friend in Modesto who helps me on all of my projects. If I died, he's supposed to get the car, because it's as much his as it is mine.
Oh.
Robert Boyd is just one of the good guys just in life. Inside the car, we did a Tesla seat. One of my goals was to keep the cost down significantly. I needed to have a seat that was unique looking. I found 4 of them on Marketplace that were from an accident in a Model X where the car was crushed, and it blew all 4 airbags. The seat is super comfortable. One of the cool things about the car is that it's a remote control car. We put a Mustang 2 steering rack in, and we put a winch motor on the steering. We also needed to propel the car back and forth. It took a little bit of work, but we came up with this idea of putting a winch motor in each of the 2 front wheels, and we bolt that on where the brake calipers were. We also wanted to be able to get into the center seat car a little easier. Center seat cars are, there are very few, but the ones that are also very hard to get into. Spent a lot of time working on a mechanism that has a cantilever type system. The main base of the seat, when it's in a center seating position, is solid, but then it motorizes out, so it's easier to get in and get out.
Does this mean it's time to get in?
This means it's time to get in. Yep, and if you want to grab that handle, which actually the amplifier logo from our KS amplifiers, and this is the older KS amplifier logo. This actually is the door popper. Door pops, Oh, and you're moving. It's almost like a Disney ride, but cheaper.
And slower.
And much slower. The curved screen background is actually Star Wars. And that's just telling you to the position that you need to be.
Oh, nice.
And clicks everything off. You see the Mac Mini, the curved screen, the processor up at the top, the controller processor.
Is it time for the demo?
It is time for the demo. You got a touchscreen here.
Oh, okay.
Well, nobody seemed to know what John called home. He just
Well, that's that up front bass.
That's that 15-inch, dual 15-inch up front bass. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome, I think. I think it turned out pretty good.
I think it turned out pretty good. All right, now I want to play some other music because, you know,
Yes.
I've been listening to you tell me all about it. So now it's time for you to go away so I can listen to some stuff.
Of course.
We don't